Law and Order. There's actually a lot of medicine in this, of which I know a lot. Law, on the other hand, I don't. That's where I brought in my good friend, the Legal Eagle.
I'm back, baby. It's time to talk about medical malpractice.
I'm scared of that, but the Eagle has landed, so let's get started. Pee whoop, whoop, beep.
I've been here 40 minutes. I just need to know where she is.
Holy crap, it's Leo McGarry from The West Wing. Don't mess with that guy. Like that guy's a rock star.
I have no idea who that is or what we're talking about.
No pulse. Call a code! Come on, let's go, move! I need a line in!
Chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. If someone's pulseless, you don't go get tools, you start chest compressions.
Get the defibrillator. You knew that wasn't right.
Also, these chest compressions are absolutely poo.
Has to be to the rhythm of staying alive. Even I know that.
Or
Come on.
Taylor Swift's Clean. Just for my Swifties out there. I just read that from the American Heart Association.
Now there's some privacy. No more privacy.
No more privacy.
No response.
Everything we can.
What's going on?
Excuse us,
Please. It's my daughter.
Please, you can't come in here. This
Don't
is
even try. What's going on?
See this poor woman get coded, but they won't let the father into the room. They did call for epinephrine, which is the medication that you do give in flatline to hopefully restart the heart.
Okay.
Yeah, so at least that was correct.
Let's call it 2317.
They went like 1 minute. Please try a little harder.
How long would it normally take?
So there's no thing that they're instantly great. It takes time and they recover.
What the hell happened?
Your daughter had cardiac arrest.
Well, resuscitate her, defib her.
Please.
Defib her. No, you can't shock flatline.
So the right course of action is not defibrillation when the flatline, it's chest compression?
Yeah, sometimes it does something called ventricular fibrillation, where it's beating, but it's beating in a non-effective way, the situation. Here you want to give medications to hopefully get the natural pacemaker to start up, and it restarts on its own.
Got it.
Your daughter was killed at the hospital?
Yeah, in the emergency room, and I want to swear out a murder complaint against the resident in charge of it.
Oh, wow.
But she was at the hospital for treatment.
Yeah, a sore throat, muscle aches. She only went in to get a prescription for some antibiotics.
Bro, can you repeat what he just said?
You're the intern who treated a young girl named...
That's one cocky intern.
I know, right?
For an intern, I thought he was the head of the hospital for a second.
I want to punch that intern so bad.
Yeah, she's the last patient I admitted before I took off. Bronchitis. She dramatized her symptoms a bit.
So Law & Order's famous for like having random actors pick up crates and like load them. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Right now, we're doing a routine investigation of her death.
Damn.
Here's my acting.
You sound surprised.
Why else would the police be
People
there?
croak here every day.
Well, she wasn't that sick. You don't die from bronchitis.
Well, you can.
Suzanne Morton, she had pneumonia. The sputum examination and blood culture were indicative.
So sputum culture and blood culture check for bacteria growing in both of those sources. The way we see it is we actually grow the bacteria, and then we put different antibiotics on that bacteria to see which of those antibiotics it's resistant to.
Would you also check to see if antibiotics worked against the culture?
Especially antibiotics.
Okay.
Suzanne Morton.
Yes, if you see Mr. Morton, please extend my condolences.
Dr. Raza, were you on...
Oh, snap. That's a real, why did you order the Santiago off the island if your orders are always followed right there? Like, why did you come quickly if she was in perfect health?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Sneaky.
You solve every case you work on?
We can tell a felony from a traffic ticket.
Look, a patient walks in with a headache. She have a subarachnoid hemorrhage, a berry aneurysm, a retroorbital tumor, or does she just have a headache? I saw that girl in the emergency room on rounds. She was in the hands of competent staff.
The girl is dead.
Well, people like to believe that medicine is pure science. Medicine is a science. But doctors know it's also a lottery.
I heard the art component of that statement before. I've never heard of lottery.
Wow.
That just shows that you have no regard for human life.
Proceed, Sherlock.
Back in the day of paper, handwritten notes. Some hospitals that I trained in as a student, I still wrote handwritten notes like this. But now, everything's on the computer. Everything's electronic, for good and bad. The electronic health records add a lot of secretarial work to what we do day in and day out, so that we end up spending more time on administrative tasks rather than taking care of patients, so.
Hey, what do you do when you make a mistake? Use whiteout?
You cross it out and initial it. This ain't no letter to Dear Abby. These charts got to show everything. Well, there could be serious legal repercussions.
If you didn't document it, it didn't happen, is everyone's very famous medical saying.
If you're using whiteout to hide something before, that's just laying a literal paper trail of the crimes that you have committed.
Now, on top of the whiteout, it says acetaminophen, a common everyday painkiller. But
Tylenol.
Underneath the whiteout,
That's a very strong opioid medication. So very big difference, Tylenol and meperidine.
Is that the kind of medication that would stop someone's heart?
So opioids, one of their nasty side effects is that they slow breathing down, and you could slow it so much so that the person stops breathing. Then there's in cases where you're giving someone comfort care at end of life, and they're struggling because they have air hunger. We actually give morphine, not for pain in that situation, but for that air hunger sensation, so they don't feel like they're struggling, extending their life. But at that moment, it's about comfort rather than prolonging the few hours that they have.
Yeah.
Interesting medical use there.
She had a headache and a low-grade fever. Nothing more.
I gave her an antibiotic and an antihistamine. No doctor would have done anything.
Very unique medication, a lot of interactions with not just foods, but also medicines.
Chose an antihistamine.
So there's no sign of meperidine.
We ran the standard gas and chromatography.
Oh, we know recreational drugs do another tox screen.
I think you're wasting a nickel.
This guy's acting is hilarious too. But can they do that? Can they order more tests?
Yeah, sure.
Nobody takes meperidine and phenelzine. Unless they want to risk ending up.
I don't know specifically the interactions between those two medications, but giving an opioid medication plus an MAOI medication could create respiratory depression, cardiac issues, neurotoxicity, creates your like an overheating of your body, and that breaks everything down. And that's why when I started a patient on an antidepressant and we start adding other meds or they're already on meds, that's when we say we need a psychiatrist on board.
The night that Suzanne Morton died, rounds were after 9.
That's a very common saying, and I wish we'd stop saying it. It's good in one sense because frequently what happens when you have med students, the patient says they have a headache, and they start naming all of the rarest conditions that cause headaches. So as an attending, you have to remind them that if you see a headache, it's probably just a headache, not some rare condition, a zebra.
Which is really funny because in the prior scene, this doctor was like, it could have been like this other life-threatening tumor.
And now he's like, oh, just a horse.
Stop looking for zebras. Where would you even get that notion?
You gentlemen, well, maybe Dr. Raza made a mistake in the chart.
Maybe he made a mistake in the emergency room.
If you were there and you watched him make the mistake and you say, no, I saw him, he did it, but he's just assuming.
So what happened that night? Why were rounds so late?
We waited for the chief of medicine.
Dr. Oster.
Got on high, descending. Well, he descended late.
He was
He said he'd been delayed at some retirement party for one of the service chiefs. It smelled like he had been drinking.
Criminal negligence!
If he's drunk from a party, that seems less than ideal.
Not less than ideal. I mean, that's illegal and a crime and wrong, and you should be fired and not practice medicine. There's a lot of things that should happen there.
Don't drink and conduct rounds, kids.
Or perform surgery.
You guys just supply bartenders?
Crates! Just moving crates. Even in the first episode, they had to shoehorn in a guy.
Yeah, Jim.
I mean, good for him. That guy has a great memory.
Yeah.
Edward Oster. No, Jim. Green. The bourbon? That's what he drank. On the rocks. One every 5 minutes.
Does Jim Beam come in green? I think he means Johnny Walker Green.
Did he say Jim Beam Green?
He said Jim
Green.
Jim Green.
I think they can't say the brand. So he made up a fake Jim Green,
right.
Green, whatever he said.
I'm begging you, don't make me torpedo my career.
We need a second witness.
Do they really need a second witness?
It would definitely help, for sure.
Really?
But also, if this guy failed to do anything because the chief of medicine was completely blackout drunk, I assume his career is probably over. He's gonna get sued to death.
Drunk, delivering care, when you can't retroactively go back and test him, is it enough to get witnesses to say that he...
And that's one of those reasons why circumstantial evidence is often the strongest evidence you have. As in drinks. Well, that's not direct evidence. It's not a blood test of their blood alcohol level. But that's pretty strong evidence that a guy that's like 170 pounds is probably pretty drunk.
Yeah, true.
I came to New York because of him. Do you know what it means to be able to say I studied under Dr. Edward Oster? He could destroy the rest of my career.
He was drunk.
Oh.
That's not that much stronger of evidence than the bartender saying, I personally served him this many drinks.
The girl had muscle pains. The doctor ordered meperidine, and the resident said something about phenelzine. I don't think he even heard. He took the meperidine, he injected it himself.
What?
Try to stop him. What are we gonna do? Wrestle Dr. Edward Oster to the floor?
I mean, yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, if you're watching someone get murdered. What, are we gonna wrestle him if he took a knife out and started stabbing the patient?
Yeah, I mean, so this is tricky because I'm trying to figure out what crime this guy might be responsible for. I think that the act of not stopping a doctor from doing a clearly wrong medical treatment that would 100% kill someone is probably negligence. He clearly didn't have the intent to join a conspiracy. So it would be hard to convict this person.
Flat out, Oster was drunk.
I want to go in with more than a nervous resident.
Well, the bartender says Oster drank like a fish at the party.
You need more than that? That sounds pretty solid.
I think you and I had the same reaction that, okay, this guy is really, really drunk and he's administering care. But this guy is, I guess, a generalist of some kind. He's not a surgeon. So imagine, for example, if a radiologist gets drunk before
reading scans.
That's not the kind of medicine where you're going to
actively end up causing their demise.
Exactly. Yeah. You might miss something.
And it might lead to...
Exactly. And that's certainly negligence. Yeah. This doctor is somewhere in between. He can prescribe medicine that might have a really adverse effect, but he's also not, you know, cutting someone open and performing heart surgery. And so it's possible that this guy is I hate to say it, but a really high functioning alcoholic.
That would be cool to argue in a court of law. Hey, I'm really good when I'm drunk.
Yeah, boy, I would not want to make that argument or have to make that argument.
Edward Oster.
He looks drunk.